like so many other people, once believed that someone with a drug addiction could easily stop if they wanted to. I, like many other people, once believed that drug addiction was a choice. And I, like so many other people, was wrong. Truth is, there are many myths and misconceptions surrounding substance use disorder, and today we're going to learn the truth about a lot of them. If you're unaware, this is the third video in a 4-part series about substance use disorder. In the first video I posted, I talked about the basics of substance use disorder, and then in the second video, I talked about how substance use disorder affects the family. And I highly suggest you go back and check those videos out if you haven't already. And just like in the other videos, I will have timestamps at the bottom. That way you can jump ahead at any point in time. But as I said in the previous 2 videos, I highly suggest you watch the video in its entirety. Before we get into the topic though, I want to introduce myself for those that don't know me. My name is Randall from Coffee Pot Dad, and Coffee Pot Dad is for parents who are seeking the best life for their family, with informative YouTube videos that help answer parenting questions and offer tips so we can all grow as parents and have a happier family. Prescription medications aren't addictive. That is false. The truth is they are easily addictive, and approximately 2.1 million Americans have an opioid use disorder. And in 2019 alone, opioids were involved in over 14,000 overdose deaths. If you watched my first video, you probably noticed that I had a quote at the end of the video from the book Coming Clean, A Diary of a Painkiller Addict. And I just finished reading that book yesterday, and I want to say that if you don't believe prescription medications aren't addictive, please go read that book, because much of what I've actually discussed in the first 2 videos is in that book, and it just connected everything. So go check out that book. I will leave a link in the description below. Trying a substance once is fine. That is also false, because fatal overdoses can happen to someone who has never used the substance before. And even if someone were to use the substance once and it not harm them physically, it could impair their decision-making skills and cause them to do something that they would later regret. Addiction is a choice. As I already stated in the intro to this video, that is false. While there usually is a choice to start using, many do it to feel good or to stop feeling bad. The important thing to remember is that no one plans to become addicted. They just won't help. People with other mental illnesses has a higher chance of becoming addicted. That is true. Oftentimes, substance use disorder and other mental disorders such as anxiety, depression, and schizophrenia coexist. In some cases, the other mental disorders are there prior to them developing a substance use disorder. Other times, the substances might trigger or worsen their mental health conditions. Some with disorders like anxiety and depression will sometimes try to help themselves by using other substances or overusing their medication to help alleviate some of the symptoms, but that usually has a negative side effect and will increase the risk of developing an addiction. Using while pregnant can harm the baby. That is also true, and the effects of using some substances could have long-term effects and possibly even be fatal to the baby. Tobacco use, for example, has a 1.8 to 2.8 times greater risk of stillbirth, with the highest risk found among the heaviest of smokers. Marijuana use has a 2.3 times greater risk of stillbirth, and evidence of any supplement, marijuana, or prescription pain reliever use has a 2.2 times greater risk of stillbirth, and passive exposure to tobacco has a 2.1 times greater risk of stillbirth. There's also the chance of birth defects, low birth weight, premature birth, small head circumference, and sudden infant death syndrome. Finally, there's also the chance of drug withdrawal in newborns that could develop immediately or up to 14 days after birth. Symptoms for that include blotchy skin coloring, diarrhea, excessive or high-pitched crying, abnormal sucking reflex, fever, hyperactive reflexes, increased muscle tone, irritability, poor feeding, rapid breathing, seizures, sleeping problems, slow weight gain, stuffy nose and sneezing, sweating, trembling, and vomiting. They should be held accountable. True and false. And I have to use both here because, as already stated, substance use disorder causes those affected to lose a lot of self-control, and they can't always control their actions. But in the long run, they do need to know how their actions is wrong. Otherwise, they will continue believing that they don't have a problem nor need help. People with substance use disorder are bad and need to be punished. That is false. Some of their actions are undoubtedly bad, but we need to remember that substance use disorder can affect anyone, and many times it starts because they want to fix some kind of problem. People receive more punishment than treatment. That is true. Addiction is the only medical illness that is criminalized. It's estimated that someone in America is arrested for drug possession every 25 seconds, but punishment has been proven not to reduce substance use or overdoses. Yet over 75% of Americans who admit that they have a problem said that they have never had help. Substance use disorder is easy to spot. And that is false. It actually looks different in everyone, but many like to associate certain behaviors and characteristics with substance use disorder and addiction. However, many of those characteristics can be completely unrelated to substance use disorder, and those with substance use disorder, some of them are really, really good at hiding it. You can't suffer from a substance use disorder if you have a stable job and family life. That is false. A stable job doesn't mean a stressless job, and there are many reasons why people may start, and you never know what's going on in someone's head despite how successful they are or how their outward appearance is. You have to hit rock bottom before you can get help. That is false and also one of the most dangerous myths there is. You can get help at any time, and the faster you get help, the better. So please don't wait. Blacks are racially profiled. That is actually true, and some would likely want to argue, but the numbers don't lie. Black individuals are nearly 6 times more likely to be incarcerated for drug-related offenses than whites, despite equal substance uses between the two. This is likely down to the fact that black individuals and communities are subjugated to greater surveillance and increased likelihood of police stops and searches. And blacks aren't the only ones targeted. Almost 80% of the people serving time for federal drug offenses are black or Latino. What's really crazy and sad is that in federal prisons, many black individuals convicted of drug offenses will serve nearly the same amount of time as white individuals would for a violent crime. Willpower is all one needs to beat addiction. That is false. If it were true, we'd have a lot less people suffering from substance use disorder. As stated in the first video in this series, over time, prolonged substance use alters the way the brain works, and the brain actually develops intense cravings that makes it difficult to control the compulsion to use substances. And this makes it extremely difficult to quit, and often a treatment program is required. Any doctor can treat addiction. Surprisingly, this one is false. Despite substance use disorder being an illness, roughly only 1 in 4 doctors receive addiction training during their medical education. That actually needs to change, doesn't it? If treatment is forced, it will fail. That is false, and I was actually very guilty of believing this one myself until recently. Truth is, people who are pressured into treatment by their family, employer, or legal system is just as likely to benefit from the treatment as those who take it voluntarily. If they relapse, they are weak. That is false. Addiction is a chronic illness, and like any other chronic illness, addiction has its own symptoms, and relapse is simply a reoccurrence of symptoms. When it comes down to it, relapsing is just a sign that treatment needs to change or additional treatment is needed. It's harder for some people to get help than others. Sadly, that's true. Again, even though substance use disorder is an illness, health insurance coverages often limits patients' options. In many states, Medicaid doesn't even cover residential treatment. Even addiction medication is quite hard to come by for some because only 60% of employer-sponsored health plans covers the medications. And sadly, access to treatment dramatically favors white individuals. Black individuals are more likely to experience negative legal outcomes. Only the wealthy can afford treatment and rehab. That is false. While the healthcare system does suck at supporting one of the deadliest illnesses on the planet, there is still hope. Treatment programs do vary in cost, and there are programs and payment options available to ease the financial burden of treatment. If you or someone you know is suffering from a substance use disorder, please do not hesitate to seek help because of your economic status. It only costs the user financially. That is false. The cost of substance use disorder doesn't just stop at the user and their family. As a matter of fact, due to the increased healthcare costs, crime, and lost productivity, substance use disorder, including illegal drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, costs the United States $740 billion a year. $740 billion a year. And that number is growing. To put this in perspective, if we looked at the combined net worth of the 5 richest men in the world, you would still be over $40 billion shy of what substance use disorder costs America each year. Before I do get to the last myth, if you have found any value in this video or in this series of videos talking about substance use disorder, please give it a like. That way more people can be reached with the videos because it's very important for people to better understand substance use disorder. It can be cured. Unfortunately, this one's false. Like many other chronic illnesses, substance use disorder cannot be cured. This is all down to how the brain physically changes after prolonged use. Even after someone stops using, they will still get powerful cravings and will still be vulnerable to relapses. However, with proper treatment and care, it is possible for those that have substance use disorder to live normal and productive lives. It's also very important to remember that substance use disorder is different in every person. Where some people struggle for years, others manages to respond to treatment quickly. And these are just few of many, many myths and misconceptions that need to be better understood about substance use disorder. It's also really important for more people to learn the truth about substance use disorder, because substance use disorders can ultimately cost someone their freedom, their family, or even their life. If the stigma associated with addiction casts those that need help in a bad light, and they are punished not given the help. And this needs to change. And if you want to help with substance use disorder, please come back for the next video where I'll be discussing exactly how you can do that.